Hey everybody, and welcome to Reading Crossbow. My name is Lena, and this is my buddy Rob.
Hello, everyone.
And we are back, and this time we've got new books for you. If you're new here, we just want to remind everyone that Rob picks one every month, I pick one every month, and then Rob will do a halfway episode of the book I pick, and I'll do a halfway episode of the book that he picks, and we just give like our quick thoughts on a book. Great for people who are just getting back into reading, maybe don't want to fully commit to a book club. We are the podcast for you. Also, before we get into it, I'm going to ask Rob that these people like and subscribe now, because it's so helpful when they do.
It is very helpful, and we've been trying to watch these metrics, and something like half the people who watch aren't even subscribed.
I know. Painful. All right, you guys, do the thing. You know what to do. So this month, I don't know if we've screwed it up because we don't talk to each other before we do this. And we keep like coming together and diverging. And I think last month we actually picked a pretty diverse group of books. I picked The Tainted Cup and you picked Starter Villain, and those were unique.
Yeah, they were. And I don't know, I think we got something pretty diverse this month.
We totally do. And I'm a little nervous to talk about mine. I guess I'll go first. But before we get too far into it, I have to say that I probably screwed up this month.
How's that?
Well, I've been giving you a really, really hard time about timey-wimey, time travel stuff in books. And you have picked how many of those?
At least 2 in a row.
At least 2. And I always say I hate it.
Okay.
But then this month, I decide to choose a book, and guess what's in it?
I'm guessing...
Time travel.
Yeah, time travel.
Yeah. Why did I do that?
I'm glad you fell on that grenade.
Yeah, thanks. Taking one for the team. It's not you this month. It's me. So... all right, let's get into my book and why I chose it. So I chose The Last Magician by Lisa Maxwell. It's gorgeous, by the way. Just beautifully designed book cover. And why did I pick it? I picked this book because I'm trying to expand my reading a bit more. And I realized I probably spent years dumping my brain into YA and youthful romance and adorableness. And then the last year, I dove headfirst into more adult romance. And I probably need to pull the brain cells back together a little bit more. I'm not abandoning it, Rob. You're going to get one. But I wanted to try something this month that has been out for a while. So the book I picked last month, Tainted Cup, was a new release. And so I thought I'm probably going to swap around. So I looked for an author that had a really popular book that had magic. I wanted a map. I checked. This has a map.
Okay.
And I just really wanted a good magic, good fantasy, just tried and tested. People have reviewed this and loved this book kind of book. So The Last Magician has something over 40,000 Goodreads reviews, and it averages a 4.2, I think.
Oh, wow. That sounds very promising. So you said it's a fantasy book?
Yeah, primarily magic. So not high fantasy, no elves, no dwarves, nothing like that. No castles and kingdoms. It's actually set in our world. It's actually set in New York.
Okay.
And, well, first off, I should ask, have you read this or heard of this?
I have not. And I have read quite a bit of urban fantasy, and that's what it sounds like this is. So I'm curious because I totally missed this.
Yeah, me too. It was not on my radar at all, and it's actually a 4-part series. I went ahead and bought the whole series.
Okay.
Because one thing...
It's a high confidence.
Yeah, I mean, I hope so. But one thing I do that I hate that I do, and I've done this in a lot of series. That's actually, if you look closely, there's 2 of the same book here because I lent one out. I need to get it back. And you'll see different sizes. This is a series, but this one's smaller. When I'm not sure I'm going to like a series, I buy the first one in paperback, always. I read it in paperback. If I love it, then I buy the rest of the series in hardback. But I've stopped doing that. Even with the Poppy War, I bought the series.
Okay.
So I've just been buying series because I'm I I have a hard time not finishing reading them. So anyway, I bought this whole series. I have a feeling it's going to be good. Quick plot summary is it's about modern day New York and New York from like the 1900s. And basically magic in our world now in New York has all but disappeared. Some people still have magic, but there was a time when there was more magic. And this is all jacket cover, by the way, maybe a couple Goodreads reviews. And basically what's going on is magic has become weakened all due to something called like the Order. Very mysterious order of people that are trying to control or eliminate or maybe use magic just for their favor. I'm not entirely sure. And something happened in the early 1900s that this particular girl, who I'm guessing her magic has something to do with time travel, has to go back and steal these artifacts that the Order has possessed that would, I don't know, I'm guessing allow magic to come back. So we go between now and I think it's in 1900, 1902. And she's stealing stuff from that time to try to like undo what the Order's done to bring magic back.
Okay, so it's like a time heist. I think I've seen this. I think I've seen this movie.
Oh, well, yeah. Every time I think I picked a book that's like going to be so good, you're like, oh, I've seen this movie. Yeah, I don't know. It seems good. I think what we've been lacking in some of our choices lately is like legit magic.
Yes. In fact, even the last couple fantasy books weren't really magic books. They were, like The Tainted Cup was, it's biopunk. It really didn't have an obvious real magic going on.
Yeah. So I'm craving magic. And I'm hoping this book will give us like a magic system. I really love well-written magic systems, especially if magic can be like used or reduced in some way, or maybe even regenerated or replenished, or when magic comes from a source. I don't love like divine magic stuff very much. I like magic to be like give and take, and I have no idea. So I'm hoping good magic system, please. There's a map though. Quick preview of the map. I probably won't pull it up for this, but the map is actually of New York.
Ah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that looks really
Pretty
interesting.
Cool. Yeah, don't you dare. Don't you dare. It's not time for you to tear apart my maps yet there, Rob.
There'll be time for that.
There'll be time for that. All right. Actually, I did say in our Discord that I thought Rob was going to hate this map. So if you guys aren't part of our Discord, click in the link below. You'll find our link to the Discord, and you can join in on these discussions early. These discussions happen a lot of the time, a week or 2 weeks before you guys see episodes like this. So do that. But next up, Rob, we got yours.
Yep. So one of the things that we've been talking about since the series started was how I'm generally into grimdark type fantasy novels, but we've kind of not really hit the trope namer of grimdark, which is Warhammer 40K.
Oh boy.
It's from the main slogan, in the grim dark future there is only war, and that's where grimdark comes from.
Seriously, I did not know that.
So that like I said, they're the kind of the trope namer is 40K, and now, one of the things about book series in general is you never know what book might be someone's first book. I'm a big fan of like the Dresden Files, and they're I think 16, 17 books in right now. And wow. That's a hard recommend for some people. Like, to be like, hey, you should start here and read the next 17 books in a row. That's hard to do. Despite how much I love the Dresden Files. And Warhammer is so much worse because
it is.
It's literally hundreds of novels and short stories and audiobooks and like hundreds of books. And so you really can't, there is no starting place at all. Every book could be someone's first book. So I'm really curious on whether or not this can be someone's first book into Warhammer 40K. Have you read any Warhammer books before?
No, but you know how like when you get new phones, like your cell phone history is kind of lost. I distinctly remember either calling you or texting you from Barnes and Noble one time because I was on a precipice of choosing a new book series, and I had just wrapped up all of you can't see them, but I have higher shelves up here. Maybe I'll show them on Discord of Warcraft books, and I'd gone through all World of Warcraft, and I was like, Rob, I need like another like nerdy kind of like World of Warcraft series, and you said, don't do Warhammer or don't do World of is it World of Warhammer? No, it's just Warhammer 40K. It's like there's so much. You said you didn't say like don't do it like that, but like, and I remember I was in Barnes and Noble and I walked over to that section. This is before they redid it where I'm from, and there was shelves and shelves and shelves of Warhammer, and I was shocked because I was going to pick Warhammer or Star Wars, but they're equally absurd in terms of like, yeah.
Yeah, and I might have said that because I know how much of a like completionist you are, and
Yes.
you're gonna want to try to read the whole thing in one go, and like I didn't even have a good place and be like, here, this is where you should start, because honestly, I actually haven't read much 40K. Now, this, if you're not a Warhammer fan, there's actually something that takes place about 10,000 years before, which is called the Horus Heresy. I've read more books in that series. So they're like the prequels to the 40K setting. And so I've read a lot more in that setting than the current 40K setting. So I actually didn't even really have a good place to start. And so one of the books that came out and kind of made a big splash last year was this book, The Lion, Son of the Forest. Now, the reason why I kind of set up about this could be your first book is there's probably at least some amount of information you should probably know before you read this book. But I don't know how much you really do need. The book should provide you at least, I would think, a general idea of what's, the core information you need to know. But I don't know because I've never read the book. So just to give you a general idea, there's the Space Marine Legions, and each one of them has what's called the Primarch. That was their genetic father figure. And 10,000 years ago, pretty much all of them went away. Either they got corrupted by chaos, or they died or disappeared. And so none have been around for the past 10,000 years, roughly. And just in the past couple of years, some of them started coming back into the 40K universe. Including some bad ones, like I have Moritarian over here. He's one of the Chaos Primarchs. But the newest one to return is the Lion. He is the Primarch of the Dark Angels faction. And I actually am not... I'm more of a Death to the False Emperor kind of guy, so I don't actually follow much for the Loyalists. So this will be my first kind of journey into that side of things.
I love the armor. Like, for those of you that don't know, I've made a bunch of cosplay stuff. I used to do cosplay stuff, and building armor is super fun. This is beautiful. Like, so cool. Badass. I have a question for you that might sound like a noob question, but maybe a good place to start, because you brought up chaos. I recently watched like the Witcher series on Netflix, like a lot of people did. Loved it. When you're talking about chaos, do you mean like chaos magic, like this kind of loose, uncontrolled magic in the world, or like what do you mean by chaos?
So in Warhammer, chaos, there's actually it's almost like the hyperspace in the Star Wars. It's a separate universe. It's a separate plane of existence outside of our existence, and that's called the Immaterium, and that's what chaos is. That's where the chaos lives. It is the psychic energy of all living things made manifest into the chaos gods, and the chaos gods are trying to come into our reality and become friends and just hug everyone.
So That was like a really good description. That sounded like you read it from a textbook and you just know it. And the biggest thing I was thinking as you were saying that was nerd.
Well,
I was like, so funny. You're so on point. It's great.
At least several of the Chaos Gods really do just want to be your friends. Papa Nurgle just wants to, give everyone hugs and, breathe life into you, bring you immortality.
Papa who?
Papa Nurgle.
Okay.
Grandfather Nurgle. He's my jam. Like I said, Mortarian's over there on the shelf.
Oh gosh.
But
okay.
some the hugs of the other Chaos Gods are a little more extreme.
Okay. 360 pages, super tiny print though. As common in these kind of paperbacks, so like super tiny. So this is actually a good chunk of a read, I think. I think it's about equivalent. Mine's about, I don't know, I think 500 pages last I looked. Yeah, 497. So probably about the same with how tiny that print is. Yeah,
so there was a hard copy of this book that came out last year, but it was a special edition print. Like, I think most of them, at least a good chunk of them, are like autographed and numbered. Like, they're collector's items. In 2024, in January, the paperback was kind of widely published now. Prior to this, you had to order it directly from Games Workshop or the Black Library, which is why it's kind of technically a new release for 2024, despite the fact it came out last year.
That is super fascinating in the world of Warhammer and like how collectible things are and how crazy people get about it. And like, me, I love buying my hardback books. And in the back of my mind, I'm like, but how much is it? I might go get it. And then I'm like, I look at these things, I'm like, no, no, wow, that's fanatic level like collecting.
Well, like I think the hardcover on this one, there was only 2,000 printed. They're all named, autographed, and numbered, and
wow,
and like. They're hundreds of dollars now because they're all collector's items.
That's really cool though. Like I get super into stuff like that. I did want to point out something that I noticed though while I was just sitting here thumbing through because I haven't picked this up yet. Actually, you caught me earlier. I was just kind of smelling it because the pages smell amazing. I love new book smell. But okay, so when I was going like this, just kind of looking through it, I caught a page that I found interesting. There's no map, but there is like sort of this like. It's not even a glossary. I think it's like a list of like I don't know what it is, but all I can say is in a recent episode, you said some names get funky and are unnecessary because they're spelled weird or they have too many apostrophes in them. And I see like Kursats, Jaitana, Haraj.
Yeah, so I think I found the same page. This is actually an index of the major characters that are going to be in this book. So if you forget who someone is, it has up here at the front, it says like this person's name is Kai and they are one of the fallen.
Right.
So
all I know is that I will forget them because their names are spelled stupid.
Yeah. So despite what I said during your last book, this book is going to have a lot of pseudo Latin. It's just what it is. It's nonsense Latin, but it's part of the flavor and the fluff of Warhammer, and it makes it fun.
Yeah. As much as I joke, those can be very fun too. So, and I'm sure I will start to remember the names. I'll get used to it. But I was just looking at that in my mind. I'm like, never seen so many Z's in names before.
But I guess just to give you what happened before this novel, just a real quick rundown.
Okay.
Is during the at the end of the Horus Heresy, the leader of the of the Dark Angels, his name Lionel Johnson, he had left a portion of his army behind on their homeworld, and he headed back to this homeworld. And while he was gone, the person he had left in charge had basically fallen to chaos. He had been influenced by the evil and, become a traitor. So when Lionel Johnson arrived, a huge chunk of his legion were now traitors. and a big battle ensued. And basically, by the end of the battle, the Chaos Gods, or the traitors, essentially had lost. But the Chaos Gods weren't done mucking and causing chaos. So what they did was they actually shredded the planet and took all those traitor Dark Angels, which have become now known as the Fallen, or Fallen Angels, and basically scattered them through time. And Lionel Johnson basically was he was dying, and he was put into slumber to basically try to keep him alive. And essentially no one's seen him since. And these fallen Dark Angels are out there doing different things. Some of them were just people who were sold a lie, and they were never traitors to the Emperor or to the Imperium. They were just sold a lie, and they regret it now. Other ones might have felt the same way, but in the meantime, they've gone full chaos, and they're, embraced the dark gods, and, death to the false emperor. And still others are actually still loyal, and they're out there trying to do the right thing in their own way. But to the rest of the Dark Angels, this is a giant embarrassment that they cannot let anyone else know about. Because if anyone finds out that a third or a half of their legion went traitor, they might be exterminated. And they can't tolerate that at all. So for the past 10,000 years, they've been hunting these dudes down and destroying them, and wiping out lots of innocent people because one of their traitors might have been on that planet. It's their dark secret, their eternal sin. And they're going to be a big part of this story. As I mentioned, in that list of characters, right here at the front of the book, there's a bunch of them that lists right next to them Fallen, and they're basically they're the traitors. And technically they're still part of the Legion, but they were on the wrong side of that civil war. So it was a big deal when the Lion is back. He's got his own model, he's got game rules, and he is just tearing it up on the tables. So I'm personally curious, how did he come back? What brought him back now?
Well, I hope that there's a good foreword or a good summary.
Yeah.
I don't know, but I think that it's good that I'm hopping into this really just kind of not knowing,
Yeah.
this is good. This is good for our listeners and readers who want to participate in this, to I hope this is a good diving off point into the world, because I've always wanted to read it. I've only read some Warhammer comic books. A friend of mine's really into the comics, and when they come visit, they bring them. And so I read the first 3, and it wasn't for me. I'm going to say that, but I think I love books and book series with deep history and deep lore. It's why I really, really love the Warcraft books, and I know that this goes so much deeper than that. So I have a feeling I'll get into it. Yeah. But Chaos, Fallen Angels, Primarchs, it might take me a bit to catch up, but yeah. I will do my due diligence here.
And that's why I kind of mentioned, I'm hopeful that this book has been written well so that it can be anyone's first book, because that's good writing, and I'm hopeful that that's the case. But I don't know yet. We haven't even looked at it.
All right, so that's our books for the month. We hope that you guys will read along with us. So we will not have my review of Rob's book until 2 weeks after this episode. Rob will review my book actually next week. So this gives you plenty of time to catch up, plenty of time to order the books, read along with us. 2 weeks for each book means you can read slow at a nice leisurely pace. We only do 2 months, so it works out pretty well.
Yeah, and it should be fun. These are 2 established, canons of lore that we're going to be delving into.
Yeah, and 2 very different types of magic from what I can tell. Yeah. Although I think there might, just based off the jacket of The Last Magician, something, not chaos, but maybe a bad magic or an anti-magic or something's going on in this book too. Because there is and jacket cover, so I'm not giving anything away, a ring around New York that's like this kind of anti-magic or bad magic. I don't really know. I just know that they call it the brink, and it keeps magicians or whatever they're calling themselves, people who use magic. It's called the last magician, so I'm guessing that's that. I don't know. Keeps them in, actually. So there's like some sort of like trapping of magic also. So I think even within both of our books, we're going to get some sort of like different type of energy usages, and the magic is good and bad, good, evil. I think we're going back to kind of classic roots here of fantasy slash sci-fi that we haven't had in 2 months.
Yeah.
Maybe?
This is definitely more our traditional kinds of books, I think.
Yeah. And we've actually talked about, we've each listed possible books that we might, do in upcoming episodes. We haven't like fully picked yet, but I definitely have a throwback book I'm choosing, and then a couple more new releases as well. So stay in it with us. Lots of fun books to choose from, different genres, but all around sci-fi, all around fantasy. That's kind of our thing here. Sometimes dark, sometimes romantic, but always a good time. So thank you for watching. Again, hit like and subscribe. We appreciate it, and we will see you next time.
All right. Thanks again.